a comprehensive look at trends, fund profiles, and more in Exploring ETFs.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Exploring ETFs. I'm Neena Mishra, and today we are talking about the most interesting new ETFs which were launched in 2024. So 2024 was a remarkable year for ETFs, and it was a remarkable year, blockbuster year for ETF launches as well, with 750 new products introduced. It far surpassed the previous all-time annual record, which was set in 2023. About 200 ETFs were liquidated last year. So because of the new ETF rule, which made it very easy to launch ETFs, providers have been launching ETFs, and they just wait to see what may resonate with investors. And if their fund doesn't resonate with investors, then they liquidate that ETF. Now, about 75% of newly launched products are actively managed. Many of those use derivative-based strategies for high income generation or for defined outcome or buffer ETFs, or leverage single stock exposure, which has also been very popular. So we are taking a look at 4 very innovative, very interesting ETFs which made their debut recently. And because of their interesting strategies, they are worth a look. So the first one that I'm highlighting, this is actively managed by Tom Lee. Tom Lee is very well known for his ultra bullish calls on the S&P 500 index and Bitcoin. He frequently appears on CNBC and Bloomberg. And the fund's name, Fundstrat Granny Shots US Large Cap ETF, ticker symbol GNY. So Granny Shot is inspired by a basketball free throw style, which Tom Lee compares to his systematic theme-based stock picking process. And he told Bloomberg in an interview that this may not look the coolest style, but it has the highest chance of success. So, and it has been quite successful in terms of asset gathering. It's just about 2 months old and has already gathered 678 million in assets, 75 basis points expense ratio. Let's take a look at this ETF by going to the quote page on Zacks.com. You can read our research report articles using the link. You can go to the web page for this ETF, Fundstrat web page for this ETF. So they look at short-term themes and long-term themes, and using a quantitative bottom-up stock selection process, they select stocks that align with at least 2 of these identified themes to be included in the fund. And looking at the top holdings, Tesla, Exxon, Alphabet, CrowdStrike, Arista Networks, these are the top holdings in the ETF currently. The second ETF that I'm highlighting, this is also managed by high profile person. So noted economist Nouriel Roubini, who was also known as, he was nicknamed Dr. Doom because of his warnings ahead of the 2008 financial crisis. He manages the ETF. He's listed as one of the 3 portfolio managers. So it's the Atlas America Fund, ticker symbol USAF. And the aim of the fund is to provide stable returns with preservation of capital. And Roubini expects that inflation will gradually rise and economic growth may slow due to tariffs and mass deportation of migrants proposed by the incoming president. So unlike Tom Lee, Roubini is quite bearish, and his fund hasn't seen much interest so far, just 8 million in assets, has an expense ratio of 86 basis points. Again, let's take a look at this ETF by going to the quote page on Zacks.com and using the link. So here is Dr. Nouriel Rubini, and if you look at the holdings, gold, so two ultra cheap gold ETFs, IAUM and GLDM. So gold is the top holding in the ETF, and then you have a bunch of short-term treasury ETFs as well, TIPS ETFs because short-term trip ETF because he expects inflation to remain at elevated levels. So the third ETF that I'm highlighting, Texas Capital Government Money Market ETF, the ticker symbol is MMKT. So this is the first ETF which follows the so-called 2A7 rule which govern money market funds. So we know that money market funds have been extremely popular with investors, and they now have over 7 trillion in assets under management, mainly because they are relatively safe. They have a juicy yield as of now, close to 5%. So investors are just parking their money in these money market funds, and this ETF makes it easy for investors to use money market funds. So it aims to generate high current interest income while maintaining liquidity and stability of principal, has a very reasonable expense ratio of 20 basis points, and has gathered 50 million in assets so far. So let's take a look at this ETF. Again, we can go to the web page for this ETF. There's not much to read, and you will see that 9.5% of the fund's total assets will be invested in cash, US government securities, etc. And the current yield is 4.33%. The fourth ETF that I'm highlighting is also very innovative, very unusual. So Cambria Tax Aware ETF, the ticker symbol is tax, very, very appropriate ticker symbol. So this ETF has been seeded by individual investors and advisors who exchange their appreciated account holdings for this ETF. So this strategy is similar to 1031 exchange, which is commonly used to defer capital gains in real estate transactions. And so investors can directly swap their appreciated securities for shares in this fund, and they can avoid immediate capital gains taxes. So we know that the stocks have gone up a lot over the past decade or so. So many investors have those appreciated securities, and they can use this ETF to swap. Now, so this innovation builds on the trend of converting the trend that we have seen that providers have been converting their mutual funds and SMAs into ETFs because ETFs are much more tax efficient, and this has a new twist. This fund will accept individual investors' portfolios directly from any brokerage. 49 basis points expense ratio, 31 million in assets so far. Let's take a look at this ETF. So overall, this seeks long-term capital appreciation and uses a quantitative methodology to select US companies with strong value metrics that have low or no dividend yield, with an attempt to minimize that's after-tax returns. Let's see what it holds now. So you will see a bunch of ETFs there. VTI, which is the total market ETF, the All World ex-US ETF, VEU, and then the Dow Jones ETF, S&P 500 ETF, the S&P 500 equal weighted ETF. There are some individual holdings as well, NVIDIA and AppLovin, which was one of the best performing stocks of 2024. And this West American Government Obligation Fund is a mutual fund which invests in short-term US government securities. Make sure to check out zacks.com/promo for an interesting offer. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube video channel so that you do not miss anything. And I'll see you next week.